Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Regional Radio Sports Network. We're broadcasting live in living color from Beef O'Brady, State Road 23 in Granger, Indiana. My name is Paul Condry. Thanks for joining us here on 91.1 FM The Globe for the Coach's Box. Alongside my favorite person on planet Earth, my beautiful wife, Tanya Condry's here with me here today with the microphone in hand. Very rare moment for her indeed. Across the table, two great friends. Cory Yeoman, the outgoing head football coach at Penn High School. Got to catch myself there, and his beautiful wife, Sean. All right, so we've been doing this stuff a long, long time, and I'm thrilled that you're here.
Me too.
Thank you for your long-standing friendship. It goes a long, long way back. But we need to do this. We'll get this stuff out of the way right from the get-go.
Okay.
Because I think we need to put things in. I'm a firm believer that things have to be put into context.
Okay.
40 years of coaching at Penn High School.
Yes.
A part of 425 wins, 79 losses. You've coached 504 games from 84 to 2003. Not only as Kurt Giesman's assistant coach, but also as the head coach. 208 wins, 36 Northern Indiana Conference championships, 24 sectional, 17 regionals, 11 semi-states, 7 state runners-up, 5 state championships. So those are the numbers. They are, as they say, they are irrefutable. And I know, honestly, in my own heart, that you could care less.
Yeah.
About all those things.
Yeah.
Because it's been a life well lived. Sean, I would think the same thing as well, too, because it's about the impact. And before we went on the air, there are 2 kids back at the studios right now who I've had a big impact in their lives. And that's really the most important thing. And Tanya will tell you right now, because there's a whole bunch of stuff. You've been in these studios.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff hanging on the wall with
yeah.
Paul's name on it.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is that you and I are going to be going to heaven to be with Jesus and our reunion with our parents.
Yes.
But there are going to be kids coming from behind that we put in positions to be successful. And that's really the most important numbers. Would you agree?
100%. I mean, I think you win with people, and you know what? You listen to that adage. You know, I mean, Woody Hayes made that popular, and to be honest, it's so much bigger than just having the best offensive tackle. You know what I mean? In America playing for you, it's about everybody that helps you get to where you are, and that I said that to a lot of people. That the greatest thing I ever did, my greatest specialty and gift, was always to surround myself with great people, whether it was, you know what I mean, naturally my mom, my dad, I mean, just, you know, Hall of Fame coach, great mom, brothers that are outstanding, been part of the program too. My dad's a Hall of Fame coach. My brothers, Trent and Todd, you know, great coaches. Naturally, then you take a look at the boys that came after Tyler, you know what I mean, and Gabe and Derek and Gary and what they did. So the key in all that, though, you think about it, is there's Marilyn Yeoman letting us do it. There's Sean Yeoman. There's Becky Yeoman.
Those are that's the cornerstones, right? I mean, when you think about it,
They let you go out and play. I mean, yeah. our daughters are you know what I mean, and our wives and our mom let us boys go do the game we love for the school we love.
Yeah. Sean, I want to have you to hop in here because I really believe that, and Tanya, I'm going to say this looking right squarely at Tanya. In 1992, when when we had this idea, I mean, I'm coming off the radio station in Crown Point. I'm working out there, and they already stirred up a hornet's nest out there doing Hobart football on a Crown Point radio station. Everybody in Crown Point wanted to take me out and drag me through the streets, or tar and feather me at that point in time. But Tanya said that, you know, you've got this niche, former coach, living in the community, you've got a great background in what you're doing. Let's go for this. So in 1992, we started this. But had it not been for Tanya Elizabeth Condry, Paul Condry would have been, you know, 6 or 7 years in radio and one and done, and it would have been doing something else. But she says, this is what you're good at. This is what you're in love with. This is your passion points. I'm going to encourage you. And we're trying to raise 6 kids.
Yes.
And so, Sean, I'm going to go to you now. So you're trying to juggle all these things as the parent, and as well as being supportive. Cory and I are only good at what we do because of Sean and Tanya. What do you think?
Yes, but it goes both ways. We have supported each other throughout the years. He's been great to help me raise the kids and with my job, and then I'm there for him.
It's a tough thing. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Chris and I were down the sidelines. My dad was down the sideline. My brother was down the sideline. Our sons were on the sidelines. The wives are up in the stands. I mean, and that can be a great place at times. Yeah. That can be a real tough place at times. And they went, sunshine, rain, traveled, drove there by themselves. You know what I mean? With a group of other coaches' wives, and it's a fraternity. And that's a beautiful thing about, the coaching world, your world. You've got Tanya. We had, you know what I mean, Marilyn Yeoman, Jane Giesman, Sean Yeoman, Becky Yeoman. I mean, and all the other coaches' wives, Nan Monhout. I mean, Sharon Wagner, and it was a pack of people, but they allowed us to do the things we wanted to do, like we wanted to do it at the level we wanted to do it, and put the time and energy in. And something had to give, and we couldn't have done that without our wives. We were truly best. You wouldn't. Before Chris came here 51 years ago,
hard to believe it.
Those 3 years prior, they'd won 3 games total, not 3 a year, but 3 total, in a 3-year span of time. They were 3-27. I mean, the rest is history. He came here, he's never had a losing season. We knocked that out in 51 years. That's an amazing stat. But the reason he did it is because he built a great staff, and the reason it was a great staff is because we all outpunted our coverage in the marriage department, just like you have. So
there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
We're going to continue our conversation with Sean and Cory and Tanya. Tanya will get a word in edgewise, I promise. Right, Tanya?
Yes.
There we go. There's one. We'll be back with more of Tanya Condry right after this short time. Live from Beef O'Brady's. Cory, Sean, and Tanya and Paul return right after this on Regional Radio Sports.
Beef O'Brady's is a locally owned, family-operated restaurant designed for food and sports, featuring appetizers, wraps, pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and wings. Beef O'Brady's also broadcasts televised sporting events. The State Road 23 Granger location has carry-out service and includes a party room and outside patio. More information is available on their website, beefobradys.com, or by calling 574-271-1415. Again, that's 574-271-1415. Beef O'Brady's. Good food, good sports.
Did you know there's a place right here in Michiana that provides comfort and care for families of sick or injured children? Ronald McDonald House Charities of Michiana gives families everything they need, whether it's a hot shower, a comfortable bed, or a home-cooked meal. This allows parents to truly prioritize the health and well-being of their child. Because of people in this community just like you, RMHC Michiana provides their services at zero cost to the families. Find out how you can volunteer or donate to rmhcmichiana.org.
Welcome back here on Regional Radio Sports. Glad you could join us here today from Beef O'Brady, State Road 23 in Granger. And we're here with Cory Yeoman and Sean Yeoman. Great to have Cory and Sean with us here today. Tanya Condry here, making sure that I behave. Great to have number 77 here with us in the broadcast booth. All right, so you make the decision that you're going to resign. I've had people ask me, when are you going to do that? I don't know if they're trying to get rid of me or if it's just one of those things they're tired listening to. So, but I've had that. But something that I remember distinctly when Chris resigned, and I remember when Coach Howell resigned, that they thought it was time. And you'll know what it's time. And I could never understand what Chris was talking about when he says, you just know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the decision to resign as the head football coach at Penn High School. And I know you may have thought about it before. Heck, I think about it every day. Every time I have a bad day, I think, why am I knocking my head against the wall here? Well, we have that conversation probably once a week at this stage of the year. But having said that, when did you know, and how did it come about?
Well, to be honest, very, very same question was asked, to Geese and to my dad when they both retired in 2002. How did you know? They both talked to him different times, and that scheme of things, but they weren't together when they said it, but both of them said the very same thing. Don't sweat it. You'll know when it's time. Can't explain how it's going to feel, but you'll know it, and you'll know it's right. Now, let's be honest, after every season, unless you had one of those magical years where you won the whole state thing and won a state championship, I mean, it just, no matter if you lose that last ball game, it tears your heart out because all you've invested in everything else and all the other coaches and the players, and it's hard. And it takes a little time over the holidays to kind of recharge and get yourself back up and pick yourself up and get going. And then usually you're ready to go. And then it's hard because you put a lot of energy and effort into it. But I think it got to the point where, in this time, Sean and I kept talking over the holidays, and we kept saying, I think it's time. And as we got going, there's nothing. We would list, what don't you like? And it's not, I love going to the Saturdays and Sunday meetings. I love going to practice every day with those boys. I cherish that. I love Friday nights, and it's special, at Penn, and I love our staff, and we have so much fun together, a great group of men, and going out in the off season. I love going into the off season. I love going in the way. My teaching job is outstanding, and I get great. Jerry Thacker's the greatest administrator in the world. I mean, great superintendent to work for. Building principal's great. So what's wrong? But that being said, it was time for Cory, and it wasn't like I had anything that I didn't like. It was just a feeling that it was time, and I understand then what Chris and Dad said, and I called Chris up, and I said, Chris, it's time. I'm gonna. And he said, are you sure? Are you upset or is there anything? And he said, no. I said, no. I said, it's just time. Now, that being said, it was, as I broke up a little bit earlier, it's still there's a lot of love for this place left, and it's hard to say it and do it. But it's the right time for Sean and I, and I feel great about the decision that we made. But it still tugs at your heartstrings too, because there's so much so much of your life playing and coaching has been at Penn High School for Sean and I both. I mean,
Sean, what was your take, if you don't mind sharing some of that back and forth that you guys had?
Yeah, it's been a gradual process. Just I think talking it over. Getting to that point, it just wasn't an overnight decision, and it's just bittersweet, looking forward to retirement, but
like Sean, she backed me in everything I've ever done in my life, and she wanted to make sure it was right. So she would question all the time. We'd be sitting there, quiet times of the night, and you're sitting there together just with the two of us and our thoughts, and
Are you sure?
Are you sure? What about this? Are you sure you're making it? And it was great, and that's what I think a marriage should be. I mean, and just she was supporting me to the end that way. I mean, and she wanted to make sure it was the right decision at the right time, and I think it was.
Obviously, you raise kids through this whole environment. I'll never forget hearing Bob Knight say one time when asked a question about who's his all-time favorite player, and it was a no-brainer for Bob Knight. He says it's Pat Knight. Yeah. So I'm not even going to bother asking you who your favorite all-time Penn Kingsman player is, because I know it's Cory Yeoman. Yeah. But having said that, Chris always. We've always had so many wonderful conversations through the many, many years. The greatest moments in his career was being able to coach Maddie and Tim when they were playing for you guys, and that was a great experience. Now that you guys can go back and think about how neat it was to have the kids involved all the way through this, I know Aaron's been involved in this as well too. But so let's talk about having the kids part of this. Were they part of the decision, or did you guys go back and say, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do? And what was it like having them around for this entire amazing ride? Sean, let me start with you.
Yeah, we kept them in the loop, and their spouses, Kyle and Alexis also, and, let them know where our heads were at, that we're getting closer to retirement. We're on the down end of jobs, and then when it was a final decision, we definitely wanted them to know about it, and they're excited. They were excited for us too. And
what do you think, Cory?
Oh, great. I mean, luckily, like I said, we raised great kids. Sean raised great kids. You know what I mean? I was there a little bit. I mean, and Aaron and Gary have been great to us. I mean, naturally, not only. I mean, Sean went through this too. Sean was a student at Penn, and Jane Giesman got us together as she was a cheerleading coach, and Sean was a cheerleader, and that's how we met, and naturally, our daughter Erin was a cheerleader, and our son Gary was, very good football player for us and coach for us, and so it's definitely a family affair, and it is the same thing with the Giesman household, and
proud Penn alumni.
Very proud, very proud.
Coach Giesman says the Yeoman family is the first family of Penn football. That's an amazing statement to say about your clan. What's your take on that?
Well, you know what? I mean, my mom was great, and everybody knows Marilyn Yeoman would say the same thing. And huge supporter of my dad, and then us boys, and then our children, and great educator, great teacher, but a great grandmother, great mother-in-law, great friend, and Sean. Rode shotgun with her drove many miles around the state of Indiana and all over to see the Kingsmen play and support each other. And yeah, they taught us a lot, and we learned a lot from them, and still talk to them now and enjoy the lessons and think about the lessons we learned from them.
One of the things that pops out into my mind that you've shared with me, and I know it's going to be a redundant conversation for you and me, but I think it's pivotal about this, is when you were a little boy, you were in junior high school, that you would park yourself outside the coach's office and just kind of listen to the thing. And Chris, literally last week on the program, he shared about 12 minutes of time with us, and shared about the fact that you're sitting outside the doorway, with your ear up against it, trying to listen to what the coaches are talking about.
A little vents there, you can kind of hear through and listen to my dad and Coach Giesman coaches talk, and I loved it. I loved to listen to those guys talk about the team and the players and the scheme and everything they're doing. I was listening hard one day, and one time Gies opened the door, and I came rolling into their office at their feet. But it was a great experience for me, being a coach's kid, growing up that way, and naturally with their family, it's just like since my parents passed away, Chris and Jane have been like second parents to Sean and I and all of our kids, and Trent and Todd would say the same thing, and very, very fortunate that the Yeomans and the Giesmans got together.
When you think back on the guys that you've had a chance to work with at Penn High School, and guys you've had a chance to engage with during the coaches' conversations, and that's still probably the best part that's my favorite part of my job, is working with coaches, getting to know them. And I was just, there's some guys out there I'm still working with, and ironically, just a quick note, as we're getting ready to work on Indiana Football Digest number 32, there are only 2 coaches that are in the exact same spot as they were when we started our book. I know you're not going to know who they are, but you're going to. Actually, there is 3. Let me correct myself, and it will be Bud Wright, the legendary Bud Wright, Jeff Adamson down at Eastbrook, and Reed May down at Brownstown Central. Those 3 guys are still in the exact same spot when we had this crazy harebrained idea that we're going to do this football book. So it's been neat to get to know those and talk those conversations. And I love this job a lot more, working on the Indiana Football Digest, when I was able to go to schools and be interactive with coaches. And, for many, many years, I would go to every high school, take every picture, and do all this kind of stuff. When we stopped being able to do that, that really changed it for me, because I felt I lost a little bit of that disconnect and doing all that coach talk. Because I remember every day, appointment at 8, 9, 10, 11, and 1 hour with each coach, and I meet all those kids, and that was special to me. So you've had a chance to see 1,000 kids and 1,000 different coaches.
Yeah.
Are there some coaches that are not necessarily inside your Penn football family?
Oh, definitely.
That have played an immeasurable impact in your life?
This is something that people find odd and can't believe this actually took place. But we used to get together, and this is, if you could see it, it's like the Mount Rushmore of coaches and teams. We would get together. We knew we wanted to win championships, and to win championships, you got to talk to people that win championships and do that and be able to get to that point. We'd have meetings, unbeknownst to everybody else. Carmel was there at Penn. Penn was there naturally. Jimtown was there. Bill Sharp and his great staff. Hobart was there. Coach Howell, Coach Kerr were there. Fort Wayne Snyder was there with Russ Isaac, Kurt Tippmann, and 5 or 6 of the most mega programs ever in the state of Indiana would get together and we would share everything with each other. People think there's no way these guys, they hate each other. They get together. You know what? The thing is, we're all alike. The teams that you're most competitive with is usually probably because they're just like you. And I've known Tom and coached with Coach Kerr, at Hobart and worked Michigan camps with him. Think the world of him. And let's be honest, Hobart's the team that knocked me out my senior year in 1979. Still think the world of him. One of great professional. Jimtown, what all Sharpie and all those guys from Bago did. It was amazing. He was there last night. I just think, we're sitting down there, and Don Monhart, our Hall of Fame coordinator, was down there, just had no problem sharing everything with everybody, and nor did anybody else. And I think that's the neat thing about the coaching fraternity. It's a bunch of guys, I think, in our sport anyway. I don't think we've invented the wheel. We're just trying to find a way to try to make it run a little bit better, and we're not scared to say we don't know it all, and we're asking for help, and those guys were able to do that and willing to do it.
I'm going to throw the basketball community under the bus, and it's me here. It's not Cory talking. But basketball coaches, and I've done college basketball, as you know, at Bethel for 25 years, and high school for 35 plus. Basketball guys are just such a different breed of human beings. They don't want to share with the rest of the children. And there's coaches, there's been coaches at Penn High School that didn't want to share. And I'm not just picking on any particular, I'm just talking about them as a group. But I'll never forget the day that, and I did this radio show in Northwest Indiana for about 25 years. And it just got to be the travel, this, that, and the other. So, and I'll never forget having Mark Hoffman, the head coach at Valparaiso, and Jeff Yelton, who was the coach at Maryville at the time. We're sitting having dinner, and we're talking. And Hoffy's getting out he's getting out of Penn, and he's talking about this play that we're going to run on Friday, that we're going to do this on Friday, but I think I've got something new I'm going to show you on Friday. He writes out the formation that they're going to run the play out of, but I've added in a wrinkle, but you'll have to wait till Friday. But I mean, he's basically saying this is what we're going to do. Yeah. And it was just totally classic about what you're talking about. It's because it's about X's and O's.
Yes.
At this stage, but on Friday, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes, right?
Right. That's it.
And that's what it was. But basketball guys, they complicate it by getting all that nonsense in there. Go out and have some fun and let the kids play, right?
Well, I've never seen a scheme make a catch or make a tackle or score a touchdown. I mean, it's the boys. I mean, the magic's inside the helmet, not on the helmet. So
exactly. We're going to take a quick time out. We're going to talk about the impact that Coach Giesman had on both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about the impact that our coaches, Cory and Sean, are going to talk to Paul and Tanya in this program. And we're going to do that next. I figured we'd turn the headsets around and Cory can ask a couple questions. He's nipping at the bit over there.
Right now. I can't wait.
And so we're going to do that when we come back after the timeout. By the way, our longtime friend, Hall of Fame sports writer, Bill Beck. You're all sounding great out here in Houston. So Double B, thanks for listening. We'll be back with more of the Coach's Box right after this short timeout, 60 seconds on 91.1 FM The Globe and globeradio.org.
The 2023 Indiana Football Digest is now available in select stores across the Hoosier State and is available online for order at indianafootballdigest.com. This year's digest is packed to the brim not only with stats and scores, but in-depth and detailed analysis on each Indiana High School Athletic Association team. It also features a section on Indiana collegiate football and quotes from coaches from all around the state, giving readers an inside look at Indiana high school football. The 2023 Indiana Football Digest is again available in select stores and can be purchased online at indianafootballdigest.com.
Beef O'Brady's is a locally owned, family-operated restaurant designed for food and sports, featuring appetizers, wraps, pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and wings. Beef O'Brady's also broadcasts televised sporting events. The State Road 23 Granger location has carry-out service and includes a party room and outside patio. More information is available on their website, beefobradys.com, or by calling 574-271-1415. Again, that's 574-271-1415. Beef O'Brady's. Good food, good sports.
We're at Beef O'Brady's tonight for the Coach's Box. We are blessed. I've been blessed to have the guy across the table a part of my life for the last 35 years as the assistant coach and head football coach at Penn High School. Cory Yeoman, his wife Sean, my wife Tanya are here. And I promised that we would kind of switch spots here. You and Sean can ask some questions, so take it away.
Okay, so now, Paul, naturally, you've had a Hall of Fame career yourself, and highly accomplished both on radio and literally with the books. For you to pull that off every week, there's game night, and I know game nights for you are like game nights for me. Different set of preps and ready to go, but to pull that all off, how does that affect Tanya, and how did you do it and get him ready so he can do all the things he pulls off?
How do I do that? First of all, stay out of the way. Yeah.
I know that's not true.
The steamroller's coming. I just let him do what he does, and I try to take care of all the pieces besides. I mean, if it's the kids, if it's the house, if it's mowing the lawn, walking the dog, I just take care of any of the surrounding peripheral things that need to occur. But usually I'm working Friday night as well.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
A lot of people don't know. She's managing all the radio crews and video crews by making sure everybody has scores at their particular site. Now, social media has helped us out now because you just go, but, we're texting Todd Kibbe over here. We're texting Mike Kadezovich or Tanner Camper.
As well as quality control, too. Yeah. So it's like, hey,
hey, we got a problem with the camera.
So-and-so's mic because I can't hear them as well as I can hear you,
yes.
So I'm also doing that. So I'm listening to each one of our broadcasts around the state, as well as trying to hear other broadcasts to get those scores, too, to feed our guys.
Wow. There's a lot of things that happen behind the curtain, as we know.
Right. Anyways, continue on.
Okay. Paul, the creation of this program, the first part, doing the book and what the book is, and I don't think people can understand and grasp the size and the magnitude of what the book is, the magazine that comes out every year for football. Explain how that started and what it was like trying to pull it off and hit all those deadlines.
Well, the vision was when my parents retired, they moved to northwest Arkansas, where my dad grew up, in just a little town just outside of Fort Smith, Arkansas. And I was down visiting my parents for Christmas, and when my mom worked at Walmart down there, and it was in Walmart, and I saw this magazine called Dave Campbell's Texas Football. And I thought to myself, I looked at this, I bought this book, I took it home, and I looked at this, and it's 75% college football because of all the, back in then it was the Southwest Conference, and I know Bill Beck right now who's listening in Houston, he understands what the Southwest Conference used to be. Yes. It's not the current SEC. So I saw this book, and there was only 2 or 3 lines on some of the top high school talent. So it really was college football, 85%, high school, maybe 15%. And I thought to myself, I'm going to do one of those in Indiana. The second part of the equation was back when I was broadcasting those early days after I got out of coaching, and we meaning Hobart was in that situation where they were in those 4 state championships in a 5 or 6 year period. So, and the Hobart people are always saying, hey, what's so-and-so going to be down in so-and-so? What about Seymour, or what about Fort Wayne Snyder, or what about Penn? People always ask me, what can you tell me about those teams? I didn't have any answers. So I thought to myself, okay, Dave Campbell's Texas Football. I need to have all the answers. So let's go out and let's create this book, and then let's go do it. And then, as you remember, the first book in 1993 was a Northern Indiana publication only. It was 77 pages. And then the second year, we moved it to about 156 teams. And then by year number 4, it was statewide. And we just took a little bit about, and I went and visited every head coach and say, hey, this is what my vision is. I took Dave Campbell's Texas Football with me. I'm going to do this because if I'm going to invert it, I'm going to make Indiana high school the priority. The colleges are going to get maybe 1 or 2 pages. So that was going to be my vision for the book. But, I know our buddy Bill Beck's listening back there in Houston. Bill was one of our, wrote in the very first book that we did. Him and Dwayne Lewandowski, who's a longtime friend of both of ours, were writers. And so it was so neat to be able to tap into the resources of all the friends that I had made in the media. So that was the vision of the Indiana Football Digest. The vision of regional radio sports was also really, really good because I had a chance to, the radio station I was working, WWJY 103.9 FM in Crown Point, Indiana. John Meyer, who God rest his soul, gave me an opportunity to do sports. So I was doing sports, and about 5 years into this, he and I had a complete disagreement about a particular thing, and I says, I'm going to take my ball and go home. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe that's not such a good idea after all. And then I said, hey, John, I want to come back and I want to buy the sports department from the radio station. You just leave me alone. I'll hand you a check on Friday nights and get out of my way. And so Regional Radio Sports was born because I wanted to do more sports. He wanted to cut back and do less sports. But I figured I'd already run the numbers. We sold the advertising. We got out there and did what we needed to do. And then Regional Radio Sports was born. And then Bill Beck and Dwayne Lewandowski and I were with the legendary Lefty Davis over at a restaurant down the street. And we came over and we got together with those guys. We started doing Penn football back in 1994 with the legendary left-hander. And after a couple of years, we moved in a different direction with that. Jason Samuel back at the studios, did some Penn football back in the days. And the next thing you know, we've been married to Penn football as long as anybody, I think, collectively has been with one school outside of those radio stations like LaPorte's always had its own radio station, some of those. So for an area that doesn't have, and you know the Penn, Harris, Madison, it doesn't have a downtown.
It doesn't. And
so that's what's so unique. And to me, when people don't understand the dynamics, is what Chris did. Penn, Harris, Madison. There is no downtown. It's not like going downtown Valpo or downtown LaPorte or downtown Hobart. I mean, there's no downtown.
Yeah.
He took 3 different communities and brought them all together. And if you think it can't work, all I have to do is say Lake Central. Lake Central can't get out of its way because of their 3 little communities. They won't get together on the same page. And that's the reason Chris is a genius in that regard, is because he brought 3 different types of social, economic groups of people and put them all together for one thing, what you call the long black line, right?
That's it. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, it's amazing what he's created there and all he's did. That's just, look at the corporation then when he first came in 1973 and to the growth now, and it's because of the excitement, and naturally that grew, and naturally the academic standards, and then all the marching band and the choir and all the other extracurricular, and it was the place to be because there isn't a downtown. You're exactly right. The place to be on Friday nights was at Freed Field and watching the Kingsmen play, and that's they've done it. They've done it for 51 years, and that place rocks on Friday nights.
I hope I answered your question.
Great question. Great questions. In this business, like my business and your business as well, sometimes things go great, and other times there's bumps in the road. When there are bumps in the road, there's talks at home, and how do you guys work yourself through and try to get yourself back up so you can get the troops back up when you go and dress the rest of your team when you go back?
We only have one team meeting a year, and that's in July when we're all together. We have a company gathering, and what's been so neat is to be able to, when Chris retired from Penn and became part of our team, it was very unique for me because here I am, the head coach of 56 guys in our studio. You've been in the studio, a.k.a. the museum, so you've been down there. You understand the dynamics. So we're all down there, and and so me talking about leadership, and I've got one of the greatest leaders I've ever met in my life, just sitting over there, kind of just chilling out. And I'm thinking to myself, I need to be the man here today. And what I did is I asked Chris early on. I asked Don how early on in my career, what can I do to be a great head coach in my position? And I got the same answer for both Don Howe and from Chris Giesman, what you started the show with today. Surround yourself with great people. Allow your people to do their jobs. Get out of their way. And that's what I've done. And I think that's the only thing, and Tanya will tell you, I let my guys do their thing. They know that the standards, we go over standards on what we want to achieve. Kids are always first. Coaches first. Everything else comes from those and then moves it where on down. And so as long as we keep, as we say in football, keep our eye on the ball, we're going to be successful. And that's the one thing that I think that we've done. So from addressing the issues, I do that. But people also know that if you say something negative about a kid or you rip on a kid, you're going to have the shortest career in broadcasting because you're not going to do that on Regional Radio Sports. I stuck to my guns. Very highly successful broadcast journalist in Northwest Indiana. 8 weeks into this was back in 1994, said something really derogatory about a kid, and I fired him on the spot.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk bad about kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this is. We're so blessed to be able. I mean, you guys are. You understand. I mean, these kids are at the most vulnerable part of their lives.
Right.
What do you need some knucklehead on the radio ripping you? That's just not, I mean, it's one thing to be in the NFL or wherever other professional sport where you guys are getting paid. You need to produce, but these are kids that have everyday problems, have everyday things going on in their lives. You just don't know what kind of home life that kid has or what happened. His dad may have died earlier that day.
Exactly. You know what? And that's the beauty of it. Different kids from different walks of life come together and form a team and make something beautiful of it. And those kids wouldn't be together if it wasn't for the great game of high school football.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of what we've done and we've been able to do. And that's the beauty of this community, too, because we've got great kids from great families, and they entrusted Chris and our staff and my staff and myself the opportunity to work with these kids. And what an honor.
All right, got one more question before we can take a break.
All right. A lot of people, when you say Penn football, they talk about family, okay? That's the word that pops up all the time when you talk about Penn football, family. And it's a lot of different meanings of what family, the families that are there, plus the family feel across the board, top down, all inside, outside, the community, everything. When you say regional radio sports, give me a one-word answer what regional radio sports is.
Family.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
you set that one up. I knocked that right down the fairway. And I'm not even a golfer. I leave that to Tanner Camp and J.P. Jobert on my team. Would you argue with that?
I think family's good, but I also think quality.
Okay.
Yes. Great answer.
That's our goal, anyways.
Yeah, and it shows. It shows. And I think when you say something like that, if it is quality, then it shows in the product. If the people in charge, you two, when you say the word quality and you say the word family, if that's what you're emphasizing, that's what you should see. That's what we say in the coaching staff. Whatever we're emphasizing in practice, we'll see it on the field,
Right.
good or bad.
There's no question. And, there's always going to be adversity. And you know this because I've shared this with you. We both gone through several things in our careers that could have either done one of two things that could have put us in the tank, could have drove us to the brink of destruction. But we both have relied, number one, on our faith in God and our relationship with Jesus Christ has been at the paramount of who we are as individuals.
Yeah.
But we've also, when we've lost people on our team, and our team especially, and this is something that it's really difficult to talk about because in the last 6 years, Dave Miller, Doug Miller, Jason Kuntz, and Kenny Hurt, four of my best friends in all the world. And a day doesn't go by, and they're right on my wall up there in my wall of fame, that I don't think about them, that I need to continue to carry this torch moving forward. I don't need to do it for Paul or for Tanya. I need to do it for Dave, Dougie, Jason, and Kenny, because that's what they would expect. They're looking down, and I know they expect us to give us our best. And so if we keep like Tanya talked about, quality and family, we put those as the cornerstones of what we believe, I think we're going to be good. All right, we're going to take a timeout, and I'll take a deep breath and get my emotions in check, and we'll be back with Sean and Cory and Tanya right after this 60-second timeout on 91.1 FM, The Globe, and globeradio.org.
Beef O'Brady's is a locally owned, family-operated restaurant designed for food and sports, featuring appetizers, wraps, pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and wings. Beef O'Brady's also broadcasts televised sporting events. The State Road 23 Granger location has carryout service and includes a party room and outside patio. More information is available on their website, beefobradys.com, or by calling 574-271-1415. Again, that's 574-271-1415. Beef O'Brady's. Good food, good sports.
Did you know there's a place right here in Michiana that provides comfort and care for families of sick or injured children? Ronald McDonald House Charities of Michiana gives families everything they need, whether it's a hot shower, a comfortable bed, or a home-cooked meal. This allows parents to truly prioritize the health and well-being of their child. Because of people in this community just like you, RMHC Michiana provides their services at zero cost to the families. Find out how you can volunteer or donate to rmhcmichiana.org.
Welcome back on Regional Radio Sports, the Beef O'Brady's. Paul Condry, Cory Yeoman, Sean Yeoman, Tanya Condry. Great that you've joined us here today. We're continuing our conversation Cory's just hung up the whistle. I don't know if he ever can hang up the whistle, but I think that the next situation moving forward is when Chris retired, you were the hand-picked successor.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody down the line here is going to be the next head coach of Penn football. And I can say this with great passion. Coach Don Howe, when he passed the torch, the guy who wanted to have the job was Steve Bausch. And Steve was, of course, 50 years as a head coach in track, wrestling, and football. 50 years to coach 3 sports is mind-boggling at the high school level, especially during the time frame that Coach Bausch was there. And what a wonderful man of God that guy was. Oh, my goodness. So having said that, I use the word settled. I know that when Coach Howe signed, Coach Boston took the job. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so it was one of those situations. He wanted a Hobart guy. He wanted a Bricky. Mm-hmm. And so now the situation, Dr. Thacker's going to be in the situation. He's going to have to make the ultimate decision along with the school board. They're going to have to say, are we going to have a Penn guy? Are we going to have a guy? Heck, we might get a former college head coach in here. Who knows? And I know that you're going to be involved in it in a limited capacity, mm-hmm. but you certainly want the person who is going to follow you, a.k.a. you and Chris.
Yeah.
This is going to be the toughest job that anybody ever takes for the rest of their life, because everybody compared you to Chris, and now everybody's going to be compared to Cory. There are some coaches that did the transition. You remember when Russ at Snyder, Kurt Tippmann was the guy, and he has done a marvelous job of keeping everything going in the right way. It doesn't always work.
No.
So can you tell us about what's the process of getting the new coach at Penn? Do you know anything about it?
First of all, what we told our boys, you'll have a great head coach. You know what I mean? That'll be in place. Got great candidates naturally. Our staff, and Chris would say the same thing about his staff. I mean, most of them could have been head coaches anywhere they wanted to be. I mean, they're Hall of Fame coaches. I've got just an all-star staff. And what's funny about Penn coaches don't leave; they retire.
Exactly.
So that's good. So I think the reason why is the model that Chris and I did. You hire great people, and you give them responsibilities as they want them, as long as they can handle them. And Chris and I talk about this all the time. But a bigger disservice is if you don't give a kid responsibilities or a coach. But if you give a kid responsibilities or a coach responsibilities that they can't handle, and you crush them, that'd be terrible for Chris to do, terrible for me to do. So you give them what they can handle, and they grow, and they want more, and you give them, and they grow. And now, if you give guys the opportunity, coaches I'm talking about, assistant coaches, the more opportunities you give them and they succeed at, the more ownership they're going to have. And you don't micromanage. You get out of the way. There's a base way we want to do it, just like you're talking about your quality control meetings at the start of the season. Everybody understands what the rules of what we're doing and how we do things. But you have to give guys ownership. And I think if you give people some ownership and to let them organize and do things the way they want to do and organize their individual practices, then great things happen because there's buy-in. And when there's buy-in, they get excited. And when they get excited, the players get excited. And our players would say, our coach, besides, a great relationship with me as a head coach nationally, I had a great relationship with Coach Giesman. But Don Monhood, Hall of Fame coach, was my position coach. I loved him. I mean, I went around through the wall for him because he had great. Coach Giesman gave him great, an opportunity, and he took it and ran with it. And when you do that, you continue to grow and grow and grow if you're that kind of man. And I think that's the key. We'll try to find a coach that does that. Also, Chris and I have been talking about, we have got there's a lot of tradition, and tradition is important at Penn, and there's a lot of things there that all the guys in the long black line want to see continue, and the type of product that goes out there, some of our traditions, and that's a big thing for those guys. And I think that's a big thing for whoever we hire. They understand that and continue to run with it.
When you look at the direction that Indiana high school football is going, Indy Metro has become a football factory. Can I use that term? I guess that's what I want to say. And everybody seems to be playing catch-up like it's been. I mean, Crown Point is an example of the team. I mean, and just think about, you're like one play away from being there, and Crown Point goes down there, and Crown Point played okay. I mean, but I mean, this has become a whole nother level. But then I think about that. You talked about some of the cornerstone programs, and we look back historically. You look at Coach Dullahan's teams at Ben Davis. You look at the teams. Not only did he had it, but he also had him at Carmel.
Right.
Coach Belden.
Right.
And we go up and down the line. All those great coaches right now. I don't know if it's a fair fight. I don't know if there's, but I think the bottom line about it is, it's a whole other world down there, and it's not something I don't think, especially for the big schools. And I'm only speaking for the big schools, the 6A schools. It's going to be a tough road to hoe for anybody in 6A to go down there on the consistent basis that Penn did for all these years, and because there's so many great football teams. And so I don't know if it's a fair fight. I don't know if there's anything, but I love the fight.
Love it.
I love the fight, though, right?
Well, I mean, this is what Chris has always said, and this is what I've always said. We've never asked a kid to win a ball game. We ask them to prepare as hard as they can during the week, practice as hard as they can, and play as hard as they can on Friday night, and let the wins and losses take care of themselves. And I think if you have that same approach, my parents said it a different way. It wasn't that Cory had to be the best student or the best football player, but Cory had to do his best. That's the model, and I think Chris said it his way. My parents said it another way, but I think it's all said the same way. It's are you doing the best you possibly can and getting after it and being the best possible teammate and person you can, and I think when you do that, great things can happen.
All right, we're going to take our final time out. We're going to come back and wrap up our program. Once again, thanks for joining us here on 91.1 FM. We'll continue on with Sean and Cory and Tanya. We'll do that right after this on Regional Radio Sports. The girls are going to come along and say, ask questions for the guys next. I think we'll do that next. Tanya's already got some. Oh, my goodness.
Tanya's
ready. She's cheating. She didn't even know I was going to do this.
Got it.
We'll be back right after this 60-second timeout on 91.1.
Beef O'Brady's is a locally owned, family-operated restaurant designed for food and sports, featuring appetizers, wraps, pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and wings. Beef O'Brady's also broadcasts televised sporting events. The State Road 23 Granger location has carryout service and includes a party room and outside patio. More information is available on their website, beefobradys.com, or by calling 574-271-1415. Again, that's 574-271-1415. Beef O'Brady's. Good food, good sports.
The Regional Radio Sports Network would like to thank Centier Bank for their financial support for tonight's broadcast of Penn Athletics. Owned by the Schrock family since 1895, Centier Bank provides a full-time line of banking options, including mobile apps. They've got locations in Lake, Porter, LaPorte, Marshall, Elkhart, and St. Joseph counties. Their website is www.centierbank.com.
Welcome back here on Regional Radio Sports, live from Beef O'Brady, State Road 23 in Granger, Indiana. Paul Condry, Cory Yeoman, along with our wives, Tanya Condry, Sean Yeoman. Tanya, you've got the some questions for the guys coming out of the break.
Actually, this is a question for the girls.
Okay.
Good.
We've talked about Cory and what his plans are. Sean, what are your plans? Are you currently retired? If not, if you are, what's your plan?
Yes, I recently retired, and we have our first grandchild.
Okay,
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep, Lydia, so she's a little over 4 months old. Our daughter Erin and her husband Kyle, they're a little girl. So we are looking forward to spending time with her and still going to Penn football games.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are fully retired already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you will fully retire in May, June?
Yeah.
After graduation?
Yes, after graduation.
Okay. And then, now back to Sean.
Okay.
When you were in high school, that junior year, did you follow football? Did you like football?
Yeah.
Was that your favorite sport to go view?
Yes.
Or cheer at?
Yeah. Yes. Loved Penn football.
Okay.
I would say I loved Penn football before I loved Cory. But
Oh,
that's
wow.
true.
That's a recipe for success.
Then through cheerleading and Penn football, we started dating, and then it's become our life.
Yeah.
It's ironic. It's
Great life.
been wonderful.
Yeah.
And raised our family through it, and all the coaches and their wives and their families, family.
Yeah. Common theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so changing topics. This one's for Cory, and it's pretty basic. Obviously, Penn didn't exist when your father was in high school. Where did he go to high school at?
Rensselaer High School,
okay.
and naturally, Coach Giesman, coach at Rensselaer, Jane Giesman, went to school at Rensselaer. I mean, the Yeoman Giesman connections just keep, intertangling, and destined for this. I think all of us were. So.
Okay, so the Yeomans, they actually connected back in the Rensselaer area.
Yeah, my mom and dad were both graduates from Rensselaer. Dad went on to Purdue, played his freshman year of football at Purdue, and they graduated from there. Both are educators, and
our son played football.
Played football at St. Joe College in
College.
Rensselaer, and got to go back there with my aunt and uncle. My uncle does the play-by-play. Was the voice of the Pumas when they're playing, and he was up in the box doing that. And then my aunt and uncle would sit with us, and we had a great time those 4 years.
A blast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trent and Todd, where did they go to? Did they play college football like you did?
Okay, so Trent went to Purdue, and then transferred after his first year. Went to Western Michigan. Tried out for the team, broke his collarbone in tryouts, and so he had to end his coaching career at Western Michigan. Todd was an all-conference, the defensive MVP of the conference, and All-American at Butler when he played. Naturally, Todd played on the first state championship team. He was a senior in the 1983 state championship team. Yeah, great brothers, great coaches, great players.
Sean, you got anything for us or for Cory? Now's the time.
This is one we've talked about a long time ago after I got engaged to Sean. Go ahead and tell that story.
Oh, yeah, right. We just got engaged, and Cory said to me, now, with coaching, I don't know where we will be. We may end up moving all around. Who knows, and, my dad did that, he said, and that was our life, moving around. And how would you feel about that? And I said, oh, yeah, I'm great with that. Yeah, that's fine. And, an adventure that, might be. And 40 years later.
40 years later, still at Penn, never moved anywhere.
and it's worked out.
Quite a world traveler, Paul.
But it's worked out.
Yeah.
Absolutely great.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
All right. We're going to finish this thing up and just talk about some favorite moments that you've had during your time. I don't know. You can go back and talk about the state championships. I think one of the probably most, maybe call it a missing link of your career is the years you went off to Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite coaches, and I would say one of the greatest coaches, men of God, that I've ever met, was coaching the legendary Jim Trussell.
Yes.
Was at Miami of Ohio when you were there. And so let's talk about the time at Miami of Ohio and how you kind of just focused your time there.
Well, lucked out. I mean, went with another Penn grad. I mean, the guy I played with, Mike Heberlink, both of us. Mike was the center. I was a defensive lineman, and we both went to Miami together after a great senior season with another bunch of great guys, and met another great group of guys I still talk to multiple times every week, and naturally enthralled in all of our lives, and got to play for some great men. You've already mentioned Coach Trussell won national championship, but great man, one of the smartest men I've ever known, and one of the greatest IQs I think I've ever been around, maybe with the exception of who I worked for 19 years and played for, Coach Giesman. I mean, they're both just genius. People have no idea how truly intelligent both of those men are, but great, but also were intelligent, but could get their message across and get teams to play hard for them and do exactly what they envisioned in their mind. So naturally, Coach Reed was there. Coach Reed played for Coach Schembechler and was on his staff, and then came back to Miami, was a former player at Miami. Jim Bowman, who was Coach Trussell's offensive coordinator for all those years, and then later went over to Michigan State for Coach Dantana. You know what I mean? And just another great great coach. Tom Lansettle. Those guys left my junior year. Went to North Carolina State, and then Coach Tim Rose who was my defensive coordinator, became the head coach, and another great passionate man, and great coaches there. Coach Lansettle was at North Carolina State, was the offensive coordinator at Miami, and at North Carolina State. Still talk to him once a month, and even now, and we're very, very fortunate to go to Miami with cradle coaches, and it's that, and then some, and then naturally, teammates that I had were great. I mean, John Harbaugh was there, and it was said, John talked to me the other day, and the article said that we were roommates. We were teammates for 4 years, but John called up and said, "There's no way I would have roomed with you, Cory." But I can remember when John's dad, Jack, Coach Harbaugh, left. It was our first 3 years. John was up at Ann Arbor and playing for Charlie Lorai at Ann Arbor Pioneer, who was a former coach with my dad and Coach Giesman at Penn, and then he came to Miami. Well, Coach Harbaugh Sr. went to and was coaching at Stanford for Jack Elway, and Jim went out there, and it was his high school career out in California, and so John was here. And Jack came back and became the head coach at Western Michigan our senior year, and John would ride home with us to Mishawaka, Heb and I, and Jackie, Mrs. Harbaugh, would come pick John up. And on the way home, I didn't have a radio in my truck, and we would talk about what we were going to do and what our careers would be like down the road. So that was, we talked a lot about coaching and where we want to coach and what do we want to do, and how lucky we were being a coaching family, and it's turned out great for John, and it turned out great for me, and a lot of, because, again, back to our original comment, we surrounded ourselves with great people, great coaches, great players, and a lot of great women behind us really helping us get to where we needed to be.
Got about a minute and a half. Will you go to Penn football games, or are you just going to listen on the radio to Regional Radio Sports, or are you just going to go cold turkey? I know one of the things that Chris told me that was good, because if you remember, after he left, he took a year off and did games with me. Mm-hmm. And so he said that was a good way to kind of ease out of it. Now, and then he could jump right back into the pool when he became a broadcast color commentator for us. So what's your game plan on Fridays? You got about...
Well, I always laugh at Geese guy. You know what I mean? Only thing happened, Chris left and I became that, and the staff stayed the same. So we were all still doing what Geese taught us to do and how they taught us to do. And I'd have Geese come out and talk to our players on Thursday night before every game. You know what I mean? And loved it, and the boys loved it for all these years. I'll be around, but the new head coach needs to put his stamp on it, and the traditions will stay the same, but he's going to tweak it, and he should tweak it, whoever that person is, and they'll do great things, and we'll stand back, and we'll be a phone call away if they need anything, and we're there to help. But like Chris said, he never gave advice. He just he'd talk about what he would do, but Chris never told me you should be doing this or that, Cory. I mean, he was great to play for. He's great to coach for, and he's been a great mentor for me as a head coach.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been awesome doing this stuff together over the years. If you ever feel an inkling of putting a headset on, I'm sure that we'll find a spot for it. It could be at Penn. It could be you can go hang out and meet my guys sometime out in Northwest India. I'm not sure how many more years I'm going to do this. I still love putting my headset on Friday nights. And as I've told you for many, many years, when you've been around a group of guys like I have, Steve McIntyre for 30 years, Frank Hill for 32 years, it's awfully hard to walk away from your family.
Yes.
In that situation. So I've had a lot of people ask me, why are you not here? You live 7 minutes away from Penn High School, and you drive to Northwest Indiana. Well, now you know the answer. It's because of our Regional Radio Sports family together. Cory, Sean, thanks for hanging out with us here today.
Thanks, Paul, Tanya. Thank you for having us.
And once again, thanks again to two guys who we got to point out that we would not be here today if it wasn't for Chris Giesman, as well as Don Howell and Tom Kerr, my coaches back in Hobart. Love those guys. Coach TK, I know he's a phone call away. and I know he wanted me to wish you the very, very best. So,
well, great coach, great man.
From the greatest defensive mind I've ever been around in my life, Tom Kerr, he says, hey. He didn't want to talk about 1979. I wanted to talk about 1979, but that's okay. But I did it. I got through the whole thing, through the whole program without crying, and I got through without even hardly talking about it.
I can't say that. I cried a couple times. So.
All right. Once again, a special thanks to everybody here at Beef O'Brady's, and thanks to everybody for listening tonight. All our teammates, I know they're all listening tonight because I sent them a link for this, for Sean and Cory and for Tanya. I'm Paul Condry. God bless you all. Semper Fidelis. Good night, everyone.